Hey, I hope my setup's still working. I had to adjust the targets, right, of where I'm streaming because now I can't even connect to Twitch at all, right? Like for yeah, my stream keys or whatever from that site have been revoked at least for now. Um so I'm hoping this is coming through. I'm hoping this is working. YouTube chat, hello. I see you. Can you see me? Roadsteading, Rufflemutt, nice to see you. How are you both doing? I hope it's well. I hope it's well. Um, yeah, it's you're good, sweet. I'm good. Thanks, Braden. Really appreciate that. Um, it's been a day. It's been a day. So I spent the last hour trying to figure out how to adjust my OBS so it only goes to YouTube and Kick. So before, what I had was I had it set up so I'd stream it to Twitch and then it would branch out, right? Like automatically. I just press one button and it'd go to all of them. But I had to kind of adjust that. So I'm hoping I did that correctly. I'm hoping everything's well. It seems like you guys are saying it is. So I trust you. Would my YouTube chat ever lie to me? I don't think they would. You guys are much more honest than that. You are much more intellectually consistent. Perhaps would be the word. Um, Forgot I had this account. I guess I'm doxing myself. Oh, I didn't know that your name was a secret. It's in your title. But nice. Welcome. How are you? Uh Oh, we got a date today. We're going to do some call-ins for a little bit. I don't know how long I'll stream. I'm really curious as well to see how much of my Twitch audience transfers over, and I'm not sure how many will. Um I am suspended for a week, okay? We're going to talk about why in a little bit. Um we'll be going through it, the accusations and my response as well. I put in an appeal. Twitch support did respond to me on Twitter, but they haven't gotten back to my email yet. We'll see. But yeah, I'm gonna give it a few minutes, let more people kind of trickle in, and then we'll kind of get to it, gang. But it is also, and just to be clear, this is also a call-in show. So you, my dear viewers, yes, you are able to call in. And let me kind of give you the rundown of how we doing that. We doing call-ins first? Do you want to do call-ins first? We could do a call-in real quick first. Why not? Start us off. Here, let me throw you guys the link. Okay? This is the Discord link. You should be able to click on it. And once you click on that, you'll be able to accept the rules. Once you accept the rules, you'll see a bunch of channels. And one of those channels, will be at the very top, is called Backstage. If you jump backstage, we'll pull you in and we'll talk to you about whatever you like. And gang, this is your show. This is a show I host for my community and my viewers, people who watch me. So it's whatever you want to talk about. So even if I'm talking about other things or other callers are on other subjects, this is you and what you want to talk to me about. And it could be anything. It could be telling me about something, an experience you've had this week. It could be talking about things that you think that no one is discussing, but that they should be discussing. It could be something along the lines of just asking for advice. I've had that happen a few times. My only furry fan has arrived, Keto Burrito. Maybe. I don't know if I have a lot of furry fans. We had a few for a while. I'm not sure if you're the only one, but welcome. Nice to see you. But let's get to our callers, okay? We have one already. And in between callers, I will be teaching you all, right? I'll be teaching you all because I hear this all the time, okay? I hear people say this all the time. I hear people say things like, you can't be racist to white people. Or you can't be sexist to men. And brothers and sisters, I'm here to tell you, you absolutely can. And more importantly, I'm here to show you how, okay? You've come to an expert. If you want someone to be racist towards white people or sexist towards men, I got you covered. If you think you can't do it, I think you can. I believe in you. You just need the confidence to try. So we're going to be going over that. We're going to be talking about how to do that in just a minute. But let's bring on my first guest of the evening. Hey, you're live. What's up?
Hey, what's up? Do you want me to turn my camera on?
That's up to you.
Okay. I got everything set up. Okay, listen. I wanted to call in a couple times because I heard something you said during a panel and I disagreed with it, and I wanted to confront you on it. Okay.
I'm ready. What do you have? Caller is confronting Wick TV to his face about his
Okay,
the vile bullshit that he said apparently on another panel. What is that vile bullshit? Educate the crowd. Go ahead.
so during your D&D panel, one issue that you brought up with some people like getting into D&D is that they watch Critical Role and they expect their games to be like they want Matt Mercer and they want Critical Role like games. And you said that's a problem and we
It
don't
is.
want that. And I disagree in a lot of ways. I agree in one way in that I can see like because I've heard this before, like not everyone's Matt Mercer, not everyone's Critical Role people. Like obviously they're the most talented people playing D&D, right?
Are they?
Not I mean
Hold
I
on.
mean
Hold on.
like
Hold on.
that's
What
what
do you mean?
for.
What do you mean by when you say that they're the most talented people playing D&D? What kind of talent are you speaking towards?
So I guess this kind of goes into what what I wanted to talk about is like for me, Dungeons and Dragons is like a role playing game where you have like a story and you interact with characters, and they're the best at role playing. Like they're the most believable character, right?
Are they?
Um, I mean, can you give me a better example?
So I think that what you're looking at and what you're pointing to is that they're the best actors. And that's fair. I won't dispute that, even though I don't know, right? Like, they're great actors. They're great voice actors. They're great at acting. And fair enough. But I think that role playing a character is far more than acting. And I would challenge that supposition that you have. Now, if you are saying that they're the best at the voice actors and they're best at production values of putting on a show, fair enough. They might be the best actual play out there right now. I don't know. I don't watch actual plays. But let's just cede to this. But here's the thing actual plays in general are bad for the hobby, in my opinion. I think that they promote growth within the hobby of an extent, but I think they give people false ideas of what a game looks like because your behavior and how you act uh, changes when you're on camera. Like, it does. Like, you are cognizant that you're being recorded. You are cognizant that there are people expecting you to be entertaining to the audience. And I think that messes with how people play the game. I think it changes the fundamental dynamic of what it means to even do things like role play, which I think we're seeing now. That you are equating role playing a character, being in character, to acting and voice acting and things like that. And again, there are connections. I won't deny that. But I think that when it comes to fundamentally being in character in the context of a tabletop RPG, that is fundamentally different in a lot of ways than voice acting or
Sure.
playing a character in a show or a story. Go ahead.
Sure. So I think so I partially am talking about voice acting, but I think there's a lot of other things that they do that I think is like well above what other people do. And I've been in a couple games and like there's some things about it that are really disappointing to me. And you said that like being on camera like pressures you to act a different way and expect different things and it kind of takes away from the game. But I think in a lot of ways it actually both like it encourages people to do the things they probably should be doing in games, at least in my view.
Like
Like
what? Can you give me an
being
example?
sure, like being more entertaining, being more expressive, sure that's more like entertaining for the audience. It's also more entertaining for everyone involved in the game, in my opinion. Um and another thing about them that's so great is not only acting their characters, but making really cool, unique character concepts, and then like kind of expanding on them, like really deep backstories, and really deep, like I mean, just making voices and like mannerisms, stuff like that. I think that kind of builds a character more Whereas someone might like, I would say the average person just kind of plays themselves while they're playing D&D, and that's kind of a lot less interesting.
So I won't disagree that a lot of people put a lot of themselves into their characters, especially in D&D, and they play themselves. But I think that that's not necessarily a bad thing. To put yourself into the shoes of an adventurer and to be able to explore what it means to be an adventurer, to be an explorer, to be a diplomat, depending on games can have lots of different focuses, right? Um, to go into the dungeon, to find the treasure, to defeat the enemy, to overcome the obstacles, and to do it as a facsimile of you, right? Put into game terms is fine. I think there's nothing wrong with that. I do agree with you that it's more interesting when people play things that they are not. However,
Mhm.
that's not for me to decide. I would say that this idea that the fun of the game comes from the acting within the game is false. Is a false notion. Um, I enjoy games where people work together well, where people are able to help each other tell a story. And I think things like deep backstories or over attachment to that character you spent an hour voice training for, I think that this, in many ways, kind of takes away from what it means to play the game. It puts it as something it's not. And I mean, it's not bad if that's what you enjoy. I'm just saying that's not really what D&D is, but that's me.
Yeah. I guess I can kind of see. I mean, if you're saying that like people focus on the wrong things, like they see
Yes.
Critical Role, I think all the things you would kind of strive towards in a D&D game, just me personally, I think you can see in Critical Role. Like you said, like working together, that's they display that like excellently, right? Making character like not only make like dedicating yourself to like a character that you built a huge backstory for, but like also building that character within the setting of the world. They do that, and I get that like
They're
people might
scripted
not see
out.
that.
You know their games are scripted out. They know
Sure.
what's going to happen.
I mean, technically, you could also like I don't. It's not like 100% scripted out. They probably like line it out, but like there's a lot of like twists and turns and stuff like that, right? And also, to a lesser extent, you can kind of script out your own games. I
Yeah,
mean,
you
there's also.
can, but you shouldn't. I
I
think it
mean,
makes the
no,
game worse when you do.
like where you're like, hey, here's like we're gonna do this and that throughout the campaign. We're gonna be having this kind of adventure. We're gonna be having these kind of characters. Here's the setting, like that kind of thing. It can have like kind of similar effects, right? And I think that's probably a good
I just I hear what you're saying that some people enjoy that, but I think it takes away from what it means to actually tell a story together, especially when people put the the onus on a narrative rather than telling a narrative post hoc. So what they do is they have an endpoint, and DMs do this all the time, and it bugs me to no end. They have a cool idea of where they want the story to go, and then they will push the players in that direction, and they will nudge them in that direction. And I think that that tells a worse story and it's worse gameplay wise. It's less fun for me than a story where the DM facilitates what the players at the table want to do with their characters. And I think that allowing players to tell the story while you act as a referee, as a judge, if you will, is the primary role of the DM. But I think it's been absconded. I think it's been overshadowed by DMs who want to who look, DMs who just really want to write a novel and have their character like write a screenplay and then have the characters in their game play out their little screenplay. If I wanted to read your screenplay, right, write a movie, I'll watch the movie. It might even be good, but I'm here to play D&D. I'm not here to participate in your screenplay.
I think that I
Last
think
thought, and then I'm
that
gonna cycle. Yeah.
sure. I just completely disagree, and I think that I think even making it a little bit about yourself, that's kind of a bad way to say it, but like as a DM, kind of like making this huge world and making a like an end goal. I think that can be used to kind of like I think it can enhance the story because if you're like this is leading to something significant, and also if you warn your players like, hey, there's like a big bad that I want you to fight at the end, right? We're leading towards something, then it can kind of add significance versus like what I feel a lot happens in D&D, which is kind of meandering around, you know.
Okay. I mean, like, I enjoy the meandering. I am perfectly capable. I am perfectly capable of being proactive in a game. I don't need a DM to lead me around. I don't need a DM to take me by the hand and say, "Here's the story. Here's the story we want to play today." I am perfectly capable of being in character enough to drive the story in a direction that I and the rest of the party want to go. Thank you for calling in. You are super wrong, and I'm going to send you the void. To the void. Hello, dear viewers. How are you? Okay, so today is, as you may have noticed, a call-in day. It's just a chill, relaxed community adventure. You may notice, dear viewers, that I am not on Twitch right now. There's a reason for that. Now that a few of you have arrived, I guess we can talk a little bit about the suspension. So, for those of you who tuned in yesterday, I had a show on incels where I invited a couple incels, a couple women, and a couple normies to kind of discuss what incel as a term means, how society treats incels, how they should treat incels, what are some things that makes an incel, are they harmful to society? Have they been um failed by society? We had a great discussion. And then at the very end of the show, my Twitch got banned. Suspended, I should say. I'm not entirely sure why. The email I received from Twitch support said that it was because of sexual harassment on the show. That on that show, that we engaged in sexual harassment with things like calling people whores repeatedly or making disparaging sexual comments in general towards the participants. Those were the examples that they gave. Neither of these things happened during the show. We were very respectful of each other. We did disagree, and there was some comments, but nothing of a sexual nature. It was one of the least sexy shows I've ever done. Okay, I'm going to be real with you. Just up front. It's one of the least sexy shows I've ever done. But apparently I got hit with the suspension. I have ideas. I have theories on why. One of them is that I would continuously use the word, we would all use the word incel during the show. And Twitch does, to an extent, consider that a slur, right? It considers that to be calling a man an incel to be a form of sexual harassment. But here's the thing. We weren't using it in a disparaging manner. We weren't like calling them an incel as an insult. They were self-identified incels who wanted to talk about the problems faced by involuntary celibates with society. We just used the word that they use for themselves. It's very possible that we had some fucky-wucky monkey, right, sitting there hitting the report button enough times, and then Twitch's automated system saw me use the word incel a few times and then just yoinked me. That's very possible. That's my theory, my working theory right now. I don't know though. It could be any number of things have happened, but that's the only thing that makes sense to me. They only banned you because you took the Woo Bucks Hassan stands. Man, I mean, look, I don't think they know about the Woo Bucks. They might. I put it in all my titles, but it's not the Woo Bucks to them. Keto Burrito says, is it ironic that your least sexy show is one where incel is the topic? I don't know if irony is the right word for that, but of all the shows I have done, gang, of all the many topics very controversial that I've covered. Israel, Palestine. We've talked about racism. I had a show. I don't believe this was on Twitch actually, so never mind. I'll leave that. We had a show on Twitch about fucking dogs. We had the dog fucker panel. Okay, we had a whole show about it. We invited people on, who were pro fucking dogs, and they argued about it. Not even a warning for that. I had hundreds of viewers for that one live. And it's the incel topic that gets me got. What is going on? I don't know. It's just, this is the frustrating part of all of this, is it's so hard to understand what exactly the rules are. They don't really give clear guidelines. Like sexual harassment, like none of this was happening on my show. I don't know. Political Observer says the thing is, the Twitch staff are probably incels. I have no idea. I don't know anything about them. Rabid Wombat says, good thing you didn't call any of the dog fuckers incels. Yeah, good thing. Oh, could you imagine the hell and wrath and fury that would have fallen down upon me, okay, had I done such a terrible, terrible thing. I'm generally, a few people excluded, generally pretty nice to the guests who come on my show, okay? I'm generally pretty reasonable. I'm generally pretty willing to hear them out. I don't challenge them overly much. Yeah, so it's always odd to me when people accuse me of being like mean to a guest. There's a few that I can see like, okay, no, I was mean to that guest, but they deserved it. Yeah, I don't know. Let's bring on the next caller. And remember, this is a call-in show, gang, so call in. Hello, you're live.
Oh, goodness. Hello.
Hi, what you got for us?
Yeah, so I hear that I was under the impression that there would be a bunch of women in the stream itself being sexist to me
We can make that happen for enough donations, okay?
for enough
If you want
donations.
that, we can do that. I've had panels where women will rate your Riz, okay? And you can try it out on them, and then they will shame you, but not for free, kings and queens,
But
not
not
for
for free.
free.
Okay.
This is capitalism, baby. But
How
no,
many
that's
donations do you think?
I don't know. What can we get? I don't know. How many gifts, gift memberships, how many super chats until we can get some women on here to roast this guy? Cham can't make it, unfortunately. She would have been the best candidate for this, but it is what it is. But yeah, today's basically just going to be a call-in show, so you can call in and then you can tell me or ask me about whatever you like. Topic, decision is up to you. Go ahead.
What's the worst thing that somebody has said to you that you can say live on air?
Ooh, worst in what way? Are we talking worst that hurt my feelings personally? Worst is in what has been bad for my
The
channel
thing.
overall? Or
Hmm.
worst is in what is, I think, the most flat out lie, right? Just the most false thing that they've said.
That last one is going to be closest. The one that disgusted you most? What is the thing that disgusted you most when you heard it? Like where this person's the tell me the thing somebody said about you that lowered them in your estimation beneath contempt.
Ooh, man, there's a couple options we can go
You're a
with.
broadcaster, so you have more options
Yes.
than most.
There's a couple options that we can go with. So one of the things that bothers me to no end, it makes me disrespect you off the jump, is when you accuse me of doing something that you yourself are doing and doing flagrantly. Um and it's false, right? It's got to be false. So I can't actually be doing the thing. Otherwise, fair play, right?
Mhm.
Um One of the things that there's this guy who I don't know what his deal is. President Sunday. You may have heard his
Uh,
name. You may have
yes.
seen his
No, I
tag a
did
few
not.
times. This is a trick he likes to do all the time. Is he will accuse me of chasing clout on someone, and
I thought you were
then
gonna say being fat. They call a lot of people he
I'm not.
No, not you, him.
Oh, I don't know if he's
I
fat or
assume
not.
that
I've
you
never seen him in real life.
Okay,
Um,
I don't believe you. I think that you're being charitable,
I'm a charitable
for
guy. Look, if we want to, he
Mhm.
looks like the guy on what's it called? What We Do in the Shadows, the energy vampire. If I had to pick a person he looks like most, it's that guy, the energy
Yeah.
vampire, and What We Do in the Shadows. Straight up, that's him. Like dead to rights. He got some dead to rights.
A
But I
white
don't care
George
what someone
Costanza.
looks like, right? I don't give a shit what
Yeah.
he looks like. But what he says and the accusations he makes against me are all things that he just does himself, just off the gate. One of the things that
Mm.
he likes to accuse me of doing is chasing clout. Is you tag that he said this today that, oh, look at how many you just tag Destiny and expect him to notice you. Motherfucker, this bitch has gone through and every other tweet he makes is about Destiny, Brianna Wu, or me. That's all he does. That's his entire content lineup, is just trying to pick and pick and pick at either Brianna Wu, Destiny, or me. And he doesn't really have content outside of that. And so that kind of hypocrisy, blatant disregard for the truth, and the monetizing of tragedy that he does with the Israel-Palestine conflict.
Mm.
I do not respect the guy for a lot of reasons, but that is one of the main ones. What about
I
you? Now let's same question to you. What can someone say to you that makes you be like, "Ooh, no, fuck this guy. I'm out."
Some of these are going to sound petty. I can think of, like, 2, and I'm gonna use the petty one to stall for time, but I think it'll help me basically think of one that's more severe. The petty one is when people say D&D, I'm a D&D content creator. When people say that D&D is just Tolkien, but turned into a game. Because the literary inspirations for D&D are virtually not Tolkien whatsoever. Tolkien had a very minor, tiny little impact on D&D in comparison to especially the American fantasy authors of that age. Robert E. Howard, H.P. Lovecraft. I don't know if H.P. Lovecraft was actually American, come to think of it. But
I don't know off the
yeah,
top of my head, but fair enough. Clear. Carry
yeah,
on.
Yeah, it's Roger Zelazny, who again I don't know that person, but basically not Tolkien, right? Jack Vance, the biggest one. Most people don't know that we use the term fancy in magic because that was a guy's name who invented basically what became D&D's magic system primarily.
So is it just the ignorance of the history that bothers you here?
Yeah, I think it's an ignorance of the history and particularly the way in which people defend it. It's a clear shibboleth. It has no historical context or accuracy. The things that you can name that are from Tolkien and featured in D&D can be counted on one hand accurately. The examples that people can give to begin with can be counted on two hands. People always bring up like elves. No. No, elves predate Tolkien by a very long time, and also predate Tolkien by the person that Tolkien liked to rip off, that Tolkien is derivative of. So there's this massive
Sure,
cultural
but to
rift.
steelman the elves
Mhm.
though, right? Like sure, there's always been elves. This has been something that's been in folklore for years and years and years,
Mhm.
even before Tolkien. But the way elves are portrayed by Tolkien, I don't think you can argue that that portrayal of the immortal or the very long-lived elf
Uh,
who is just this uh, above and beyond, this above humanity kind of creature, that has had a huge impact on Dungeons and Dragons lore. I don't think you could argue that that's not true.
I could, because the person
Please.
that Tolkien is derivative of is a fellow named Lord Dunsany, who wrote The King of Elfland's Daughter. And it is that impression, it like near one to one with early D&D of the somber, of the sort of not even somber, disconnected, not fully understanding, nearly childlike demeanor that a creature of magic and power has. A real, like, really coming from the land of fairy. that is the portrayal of elves in D&D. It matches nearly 1-to-1 with that of Lord Dunsany, which Tolkien's is somewhat derivative of.
Yes, but no one's heard of that first guy, and everyone's heard
Right.
of Tolkien. And I would betcha
Yeah.
that the people who, again, started playing D&D, right? The ones who kind of
Mhm.
took up the mantle originally, they drew on that for their realms rather than Lord, I forget his name.
Lord Dunsany. No, no. So
Dunsany, yeah.
these were actually a lot more common and a lot more popular back before the 80s when D&D was first starting up. These were names that people actually did know in the American canon. That's what made them so interesting to me. Is reading Roger Zelazny for the first time was just a complete total departure from what I had been told fantasy had to be, from epic fantasy in particular. Don't get me wrong, I like the Malazan series. I like Lord of the Rings and stuff like that. It just doesn't compare to me anymore
No,
from Nine Princes in Amber or
if your argument, right, is that
yeah,
there's a far richer background that fantasy games and fantasy novels and fantasy stories should draw upon other than simply Tolkien. I'm with you. You're preaching to the choir. But when we look
right.
at how most games are run, what most games draw upon for inspiration, uh, Tolkien's just the elephant in the room. He's just the elephant in the room. And originally that may not
But
have
he
been the
wasn't in
case.
1980. He
Maybe
is
not,
now.
but he is now.
Yeah. Well,
Things
that's the thing is,
change.
I don't mind if somebody says that, like, when I think of D&D, I think of Tolkien, which my buddy Sir Soba has a funny line that really what they're thinking of is kind of like pink slime, World of Warcraft,
Mm.
fantasy pastiche. That's what they're really thinking of. But which is funny and probably a little bit true for most people. But yeah, that's not really what disgusts me about it. It's when people go back and say, "Oh, but there was a lawsuit from the Tolkien estate," and they said, "Well, there's Balrogs and there's orcs and there's a ranger and there's there's a ranger and there's elves in it and stuff like that." It's like, this is if you can
It's
name the
funny.
inspirations on like one hand that are true out of that list, man, there's just no comparison. I'm sorry.
Fair enough. So we've stalled enough. You've given me the petty one. Now give us the deep cut, okay? Let's
Yeah.
go raw. Let's take away all these layers of obfuscation, all the delay. Let's get to the heart of the matter. What can someone say that cuts you to the that just triggers the gag reflex in your soul, okay? That makes you what a disgusting piece of shit human
Mhm.
being this sayer of things is. Go ahead, give it to me.
So for similar reasons to the petty one, but I don't think that this one is actually petty. I just think there's a parallel in how people defend an opinion that they know to be false, and just sort of it seems like they're saying it to be it seems like they're saying it to be nonsensical, to be ridiculous, is in the context of people separating from, or at the very least, diminishing contact with their family of origin specifically.
Can you give me an example of what this means? Because I thought you were talking about
Yes.
contrarians at first, but now I think you're
Oh,
talking about something else. So go
no,
on.
no, no, no. So when I'm talking about like that was the through line between these two different examples where
Okay.
people are being contrarian, or they whatever word would best match up with it, where people are being rude about a very specific context, very specific situation that is personal to me, where you separate from or diminish contact with your family of origin, the people you grew up with, the people who raised you or you grew alongside, whatever have you. There are a lot of nasty comments that people can make about this subject because you're leaving because if you've left the family of origin, you've done it for some reason that is personal and likely on the basis of other people harming you.
So
And so
if I may,
go
just
ahead.
so I'm understanding what you're saying, are you saying someone who, let's for sake of argument, they used to be religious, they used to be a specific domination, they may Catholic, let's say Catholic,
Mhm.
They grew up Catholic. They were raised Catholic. They adopted all the Catholic catechisms and all those things, right? They went through the rituals, baptism, confirmation, all that. And then later on, they leave it, and then they're nasty to it and deny it. Is that what you're saying?
No, I realize now that I overcomplicated things. Somebody who doesn't talk to their parents anymore, or
Oh,
their
okay,
siblings,
not their
or their
family.
English
Their family of origin, like literally their
family of
family.
origin.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, literally their
Okay, okay.
family.
People
Yeah,
who hate their parents.
sure.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
it's
enough
simple.
to stop speaking with them permanently.
What if their parents were abusive, though?
No, I think that's when you should separate from your parents, and I think that's no. So let me clarify. It's not people who separate from their parents that piss me off.
Hmm.
It's people who attack people who separate from their parents, or separate from their family of origin, or separate from their siblings, or diminish contact.
Oh.
That's the one that's where people get contrarian, get nasty, get are looking for the most hurtful thing that they can say in that moment. And there's a lot of material when it comes to people who've separated from their families because that's usually not a decision that folks make lightly, right?
Fair enough. Okay. So people who attack others who separate from their families disgust you. Get your gag reflex of your soul going. Is that what I'm hearing?
Because it's only ever going to be cheap shots. In my personal experience and in my personal opinion, it's only ever like the cheapest shots you can make against somebody who, like, I just can't imagine a situation where that's what they deserve. You know?
We don't. This is the thing. And this is what I'll say to this. There are. It's never the issue, it's always the cause. So that there will be people who will justify making those cheap shots. Finding where your pain points are and just shoving their thumb in, jiggling it around, because you have become an enemy to their cause, whatever that cause might be, right? And so they must destroy you. You are bad, you are evil, and therefore anything said, done, or anything said or done to you is justified because you are obstacle to their cause, and their cause is righteous and just. And I think that people will often use that petty, cheap kind of rhetoric and trick to attack you for whatever they think you will hurt you most because of that. And that's what I'll say.
Mhm.
But we do have a little bit of a line. Thank you for
Yeah, no,
calling in, sir.
See you later.
And
We'll talk
for now.
again.
To the void, gang. To the void. Wick isn't banned from shit. He's too sweet. No, I am suspended, gang. I am suspended from Twitch. That's true. Welcome in. Welcome in. If you are just tuning in, and I can see a few people kind of wandering in as we go. If you're just tuning in, today is call-in day, gang. Hooray! You, yes, you, my dear viewer, can call in to this channel and talk to me about whatever you like. We got a lot to talk about. We got a lot of things going on in the world. Noam Chomsky, is he dead? Is he not? We're in this state of limbo. Some say he is, some say he isn't. I haven't seen any confirmation either way, but I did hear that he had some issues with the Boeing safety and inspection team. So who knows, right? But let me get you guys this link that you can click on. You click on that link, you accept the rules, you jump backstage, and we can talk. Lethe Waterkai says, sorry to hear, Wick, you deserve better. I do, but it's okay. They can't keep me down forever. I will become stronger than they have ever made me before. But let me bring on the next guest. Hello, you're live.
Hello.
Well, hi. What do you got
How's it
for
going?
us?
Oh, nothing. I was just sorry to hear about your Twitch ban. I think it might be a good idea for you to. I think I said this on Twitter, but I think it might be a good idea for you to leave Twitch altogether. I think their moderation is kind of lame.
It is shit, but it's also like a good chunk of my income, and so if I can keep it, I will.
Yeah.
I see no downside of simply streaming on it until they ban me for whatever reason, right? I'm not going to change my content because of it, and I hope they don't ban me, but I've done nothing wrong. I've said nothing wrong. I haven't broken their toss, to be clear. nothing in that stream broke toss, just straight up. And if their automation system or the arbitration of their mod team is enough to get me got, it just is what it is, and I'll just take the L. But that is what it is, right?
Yeah, I think that Twitch as a platform is kind of just killing itself by its overburdensome moderation. Like, I really just don't understand why they have these creators that can just basically do whatever they want and say like the most outrageous things. Like, whether it's Hassan interviewing a fucking terrorist, or was it what's her name, Frogan, like inspiring anti-Jewish hate constantly, or someone asking or calling for death threats against Destiny. It's just outrageous.
No, it's absolutely, I agree with you that these things are horrendous. That said, look, in my perfect world, none of this would be bannable. They should be free to say all of this. However, it's really weird when they allow that, but then they don't allow you to say incel on a stream. That's weird.
That's what you got banned for? Saying incel?
I'm not sure if it was saying incel, but I know incel is a banned word there, and we were talking to incels. And we were calling them incels. They were calling themselves incels. We weren't using it as an insult. We weren't using it in a derogatory manner. But I don't know if their moderation thing can detect that, right?
Oh,
and so it's very likely, and this is my working theory, that someone saw it, saw me say it a lot, saw the people on my stream say it a lot, and simply reported enough to trigger the automatic moderation. I don't know if that's the case, though. So it's one of those things, right? I just have to guess because they're not really specific when they send that suspension email out. So I am suspended for 7 days. So next Monday it lifts. So until then, it's just gonna be YouTube and Kick exclusive. So here we are.
Okay. One of the other things I want to talk about was that Ukraine panel?
Yeah.
That so I tried to call in. I don't know why my audio wouldn't work, but I wanted to ask is just specifically non-smoker, why he believes the things that he believes, because like I have no idea where he gets his information from. It feels like he just kind of pulls it out of the ether.
Oh no, there is definitely a what's a word? I think the best word to use is a market. There's a market for pro-Russian, anti-NATO, anti-imperialist, anti-West information. And there are thought leaders within that sphere that will take news, take events, and they will spin it and package these talking points and distribute it. And it's not as astro kind of, it's not as like it's a very natural thing. And all groups do this, right? Like pro-NATO groups do this. Thought leaders exist in any kind of grouping of people or ideas. Liberal thought leaders, socialist thought leaders, capitalist thought leaders, libertarian thought leaders. And one of the things that they do, one of the services they provide to their people is by packaging information in such a way that it makes their side look good and the other sides look wrong. So where is non-smoker getting his information? Likely from those types of pro-Russian, anti-NATO thought leaders. And that's where he probably pulls a lot of his talking points from.
Yeah, because I just actually, I have a question. Is I don't think non-smoker does any research at all, because like a lot of the things he says have just been debunked as just like not true. Like the 1 inch east thing for NATO is like the reason why they said not 1 inch east was because of military bases, and the reason why no one thought that Germany would join NATO is because at the time the Warsaw Pact was still there, or like around. The Soviet Union hadn't yet collapsed. So like I don't know where like they pull these talking points from, or even like these ahistorical narratives. Like it's kind of ridiculous.
You would have to ask him specifically, but he is a history teacher. He has a master's in history.
He
So I
has a
mean,
master's in history.
yeah. So
That's even more embarrassing.
it is what it is, right? I I can't speak for non-smoker, unfortunately. So you'd
Yeah,
have to
no,
ask
and
him.
what's his name? Who was the other pro, like the
The
other tanky guy
Barracks
that was there?
guy. Yeah, I forget his
Yeah,
name, but he was from the
like,
Barracks Live. Very
oh yeah.
very pro Russia. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you're free to run your channel however you want. I just like, in my opinion, I wouldn't have people like him on because, like, you already know his argument before he even says it, right? Like, he's not going to say anything new or exciting. He's just going to repeat the Russian propaganda line.
But here's the thing, and this is where I'll push back on you. I think that he's going to say that whether I have him on or not.
Uh-huh.
And I would rather be able to challenge what he says than allow him to just speak it into the ether, unopposed, unchallenged. So whether you think Rashad and Admiral Gibbs did a good job pushing back or not, I think that setting that up is a win for truth either way. And let me explain. So either A, they totally debunk everything the Barracks says. They showcase him to be a liar and a fraud. They expose his talking points as just that, talking points that have no truth in them. And that's a good, both for my audience and theirs. They get to see their thought leader debunked live in real time. And I think we saw some of that in some of the points. Not all of the points, but some of the points. So that's a win for having him on. That's a W. That's a good reason to have him on. The opposite thing might happen on these shows, though. There's always a possibility that the people who try to push back against these guys fail. They just get steamrolled over. They just get they don't have any answers to his points and talking points, and they look really, really bad. The benefit to that is then we can look and see what attacks don't work, what lines of argumentation don't work against these kinds of talking points. And I think that has value to the space and it has value to the sphere. So I'm very, very against not allowing a viewpoint or an ideology on, even if I personally very much think it's false, wrong, and disgusting. And I think that's one of the things that I champion on my channel is this idea that any ideology should be allowed to be spoken of. So yeah.
Well, no, I appreciate that, and I think you do host some really good panels. But I mean, the Ukraine panels, I just don't see a value in them because, like, the anti-Ukraine side, it just boils down to NATO bad, America bad, West bad, and as Barracks would say, globalism bad.
Okay.
And I just feel like I like, without even like what was it? I feel like if I see what, like, someone's opening statement's going to be, I can predict everything they're going to say, like a dialogue tree almost.
You'd be surprised. With the two people I had on, fair enough. But there are people who I'll say it this way. It's a mistake to think all your enemies ideologically are idiots. It's a mistake because not
No, I
all of
agree.
them are. And there's going to come one that comes on and just has arguments that you can't deal with or haven't dealt with before. So best to practice. It's really important when someone on the street, when you're at the dinner table around, for you to be able to explain to someone who doesn't know Ukraine, who thinks, oh, Ukraine, don't they have that Azov battalion? Isn't there a bunch of Nazis there? It's very important that you have a response to that. And I think that doing this on my channel is a way to practice, if you will.
Well, yeah, and one of the problems is I don't really see a lot of pushback from the pro-Ukraine side when it comes to, like, we just gave them $60 billion. Like, we didn't give them $60 billion.
They need to get better, and you're right. But that's a complaint for them.
Yeah, I mean, it's like half the time the pro-Ukraine side doesn't understand that money isn't being spent in Ukraine; it's being spent here in America.
No,
So, like, $60 billion is like 40 billion in U.S. jobs.
You're right. The Lend Lease we do is allowing us to update our arsenal. We get rid of our old shit, and it allows us to produce new shit, and we get paid to do so. So I agree. But yeah. Anything else
Yeah.
before we cycle you out?
Yeah, no, I don't think I have anything else. I do have one thing.
Please.
I don't know if you saw this, but Politico actually reported that Trump's conviction actually is hurting with independent voters. His poll numbers are starting to sag because of the conviction. People aren't feeling confident voting for a convicted felon.
Well,
I
from
think
your
that's
lips to God's ears, I hope that that's the case. But I do not put my faith too thoroughly in polling. I am waiting to see as we get closer where things land, because the polling now is trending in different directions, but I think that we won't be able to see. Ask me a month before November. Ask me in October, and I can have a better prediction of how this election's going to go. Right now, I'm going to fight as if my guy's behind. I'm going to fight and argue as if Biden is behind. And
absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Great conversation, Rick. As always, I appreciate your panels and I appreciate the content. Thank you for having
No
me on.
problem. See you later, buddy. Bye-bye. To the void, kings and queens, to the void. Oh, someone asked Putin to the prom, please. Toby-Wan Kenobi, hello, nice to see you. Rabid Wombat, polls had Clinton winning. Kind of. It depends on the polls, obviously, but the thing about the 2016 election is the polls weren't really wrong. We just forgot that we live in an electoral college system. So the popular vote, the polls were pretty dead on. It's just where were those votes, right? In which states did those votes go to? And that's where people missed the mark. Also, polling is, with how people now use cell phones more and more, I don't know if polling is going to be as accurate. I want to see how they update their methodology to work with the modern voter. And we'll have to see. I don't actually know. I'm not a pollster, right? I'm not a guy who does a lot of polls. I don't know. I can only go off what other people tell me, what other so-called experts say. But as I keep saying, and as I said to our guest earlier, I'm not going to worry about the polls till we get to October, because that's where we're going to see where things land. What I can do now, because again, I want to make everyone clear, like if you think like I'm not, if you think I'm a neutral party, I'm not. I'm a Democrat. I'm voting Democrat this election, gang. I'm voting for Biden. Surprise, surprise. I think it's important to vote for Biden. I can't tell you to vote for Biden. You'll have to decide who to vote for all on your own. I can, however, say that you should vote, that voting is important, and you need to get out there and cast your ballot for whatever side you think is best for the nation. I think that people not voting are giving up the power that they have to really make change in our system. But yeah. How do we call in? Oh, well, it's very easy to call in, my brothers and sisters. Okay, and I'll tell you how right now. So I'm going to give you a link. Okay, I'll provide the chat a link. You're going to click on that link, and once you do, you'll see a rules page. It'll bring you to a rules page. Yeah, accept the rules. Click on my face emoji. Okay, you click on that. You'll accept the rules, and then you'll be able to jump backstage. And once you jump backstage, it'll be at the top of the server. I'll pull you in, and when it's your turn, and we'll talk. Any questions? I don't know. And gang, remember, if you're liking the content, if you enjoy what I have to say, I could use your support, okay? So hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I'm banned right now from Twitch. I'm suspended from Twitch. So if you got a little extra money jingling in your pocket and you want to help me get through this suspension, throw some super chats my way, gift some memberships. All that really would help me. I would really appreciate it. Only if you can, though. Only if you feel like you're able to, and only if you enjoy the content. Let me bring on my next caller. Hello, you're live.
Hey, what's going on? How's my volume?
Sounds good to me.
I have to ask every time.
That's
Alright.
fine.
Yeah, I was gonna go on a rant about taxes and corporations and all this other shit. But like I'm not an economy guy. I barely understand that shit myself. So I'll probably say like 10 things that are wrong. But I have a better one, I think. And it was just on your last point. You were talking about voting. So I think we would agree you'd see voting as like a civic duty, or would you describe it like that?
Yeah,
Maybe I
it's a
should-
responsibility that you have. I think that you have the responsibility to try and shape your country, and not just your country, but your local, your community, in a way that you feel is best. And the mechanism that we have decided to use in America, at least, in most of the West, is by voting, is through having votes, voting for representatives, voting on ballot initiatives, voting for judges in certain precincts, sheriffs, elect school boards, all these things. This is a mechanism that you have to make your voice heard and to put a change. And yes, I think you do have a responsibility to vote. Yes.
Okay, yeah, and I think we're pretty much on the same page there. So I used to be against this concept. It is employed in places like Australia, but it's the concept of mandatory voting, and I've heard a lot of pushback on this idea. And the data on it is like it's not expansive. So there is some suggestion from the data that I've read, and I can track down the studies if anybody's interested. But that when people are essentially quote unquote forced to vote, that they are automatically more engaged with the political system because most people aren't going to leave their house and just choose a random name. They have to at least have some baseline. So it actually increases people's overall like political literacy. Um, so on those grounds alone, I feel like it's something I am in favor of now. It seems contradictory because on its face you could say like well, that seems fascist. You're forcing people to do something, right? But even more to your original point, I think voting is like it is the bedrock and hallmark of a democracy. Like it is one of those things where and I'm also like I don't give a fuck what type of crime you've committed, even the most heinous. I don't believe in depriving anybody of the right to vote. So I'm pretty like hardline
Interesting. No
in that
one.
direction.
Interesting. Okay. What if
Yeah,
someone who's
even if you're disenfranchised, even if you feel like you have no voice in society, again, it is the one thing within a democracy
should an illegal
that
immigrant be allowed to vote?
no. I'll clarify and say the citizen of a country. Like if
Okay.
you belong to that country. I don't think any foreigner, because you said specifically illegal immigrant. No, I don't think any
Yeah.
foreign person should be able to vote in a domestic election of any
enough.
kind.
Interesting. What if they live there though, right? Like they're subject to the laws of the land just as anyone else. They are
Well,
going to
you
get a
say
ticket if they speed, right? If they don't follow the laws that legislators enact. Why shouldn't someone who dwells here, who lives here, have a right or a voice in shaping those laws if they're subject to them?
So, well, okay, if they're an illegal immigrant, like if they got a speeding ticket, I like, I'm not some crazy lefty, all right? If you're in a country illegally, I think you should be deported. Like, I'm not really, I'm not really sympathetic to the idea that like we should just allow illegal citizens in a country. I know that there's like, I know the stuff with the Dreamers and like, again, I'm Canadian for the record. I know there's a lot of,
Fucking
it's a hot button
Canadian.
topic, all right? But I'm just saying, like, yeah, I don't know. I can't think of a world where I would imagine, like, yes, you'd be subject to, like, if you go to a foreign country and you break that country's law, like, you'll be arrested, you'll be charged under that
Yeah.
system. So I agree, but I don't think that you're then entitled to be able to participate in, like, the governmental system in terms of how that country is then shaped.
Fair enough.
Because you're not a citizen, so, yeah.
Two things. I'm going to talk about the mandatory voting and why I disagree with it. And I'm
Okay.
going to read these super chats. So let me read these super chats.
That's all
Okay.
you, yeah.
Keep giving me super chats. Once again, I have half, well, not half, but I have a portion of my income generation machine down for a week because of, because woke, okay? Because woke.
Yeah,
And
cancer culture.
yeah, cancel culture. So you have to give me money to save America. Okay, $2 from 2024, A Gay Odyssey. SCOTUS Fisher versus U.S. is coming, looking good for January 6th. Thank you for the $2. And $2 from Keto Burrito to say you're the only Democrat that I can listen to. Well, thank you for the $2 and thank you for the compliment. Okay, so mandatory voting. I'm not going to disagree with any of the stats you threw at me about how it engages more people. It's a good thing. It has good outcomes. Fair. My issue is even if something has a good outcome, one of the things about voting is the freedom not to. The freedom to not give any of these people your time or your vote, to withhold your vote. The wisdom of doing that aside, I think that to force it, to make a mechanism which punishes people for not exercising their right, is a violation of their freedom of speech. And there, on that ground, even though I will encourage people to vote, I hope they do. It's stupid if you don't. I think that allowing people to exercise their right of speech to say nothing at all is more important than those things. That's my opinion on that.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts?
Yeah, well, just 2 points on that. So, yeah, I would be fine if people want to go there and spoil their ballot. I think that's fine. I'm not forcing them like you have to pick this guy or this guy. So, and also I wouldn't want like harsh jail time. I wouldn't threaten people with that type of force. But I think as it's in Australia, like you can pay a marginal fine or something that would be
So
maybe
this is just
maybe
a
even
law
related.
for poor people, basically.
Well, no, well, I was gonna say because this is what they do in I think Sweden. I want to say, it would be proportional to your income. So, yeah, if you're a fucking rich person, like the fine will be higher. If you're poor, then I don't know, charge them like $50. Okay, it costs you $50 not to vote. So I don't feel like that's a huge restriction or barrier that's maybe placed on people. That would be my main response, and I guess it seems a little contradictory because I agree that nobody's obligated to ever have an opinion. Nobody's obligated. If you think that maybe people are just morally bankrupt, and you're like, I think both of these candidates or multiple candidates.
Yeah, people should be able to. People should be free to not participate in the system.
Yeah, and so
no penalty.
Yeah, and see, I agree with that, except for the fact that it is. I guess I place a lot of importance on voting specifically, and it comes down to again that function of democracy. Like I think in America, even at the highest voter turnout, there's still like a third of the country that just doesn't vote, and there's probably a good portion of people that will just never vote, and so
sad.
I feel like
I agree with you. It's sad and it's bad. Yeah.
Yeah, and absolutely, I think it's good to encourage people to do so. But yeah, I guess I do take it that one step further because I feel like it's essential for a healthy democracy, not just a democracy, but a healthy democracy that you require engagement. And if that engagement needs to be forced, I feel like that's acceptable, I guess, in my world.
To what extent, though? Like you said, that you'd be against using force in some cases. So say we put this fine up, and I see your super chat. I'll get to it in a second. Say we put this fine up and it doesn't work. It doesn't really, for whatever reason, Americans are stubborn and they don't really start going to the polls, right? They're like, I'll just pay the tax. I don't care.
Then it's a source of revenue for the government. I mean, sorry, I didn't. I was a little flippant there at the end. What was your question?
Do we escalate if that amount of if having a tax if you don't vote doesn't work and it doesn't appreciably drive up voting participation and voter turnout, do we escalate? Because you said that your concern here and the reason you're willing to violate people's freedom in this instance is the importance of having a healthy democracy.
I wouldn't describe it as violating their freedom, but I understand you see it that way. But sorry, go on.
Yes. Again, you think this is important for a healthy democracy. So my question is, do we escalate? You put the tax in, it doesn't work, doesn't drive up numbers for whatever reason, right?
No, I don't think that. Yeah, I don't think an escalation is necessary. I mean, there are people in Australia that don't vote and they pay a fine, and it doesn't seem like. I don't think there's been maybe I'm not super familiar with how it's done in Australia.
Well, I'm asking a hypothetical, basically, right?
Where... Yeah, my answer would just be no. There doesn't have to be an escalation. If not, it's just a source of income for the government. Sure, this portion of the population is choosing not to vote. This is the price for that, because you're choosing not to engage in democracy. So
$5 from Rabid Wombat to say a joke for testing. What's the best way to kill a one-legged fox? You make it run across Canada. I don't get it.
You don't get that? Oh, okay. It's a reference to Terry Fox. He was a guy with cancer who lost one of his legs, and he ran across Canada with one leg. So he's kind of a national hero. So yeah, good one, Rapid. you really got him.
I don't know. Canada's. I don't know anything about Canada. You guys are weird. You're up there.
Yeah, but I think I said kind of what I
Okay.
needed to, and I'm not like married to this idea. In this, I just think it's more like, yeah, I think it just like it seems like it has some potential. I see like it kind of works in other places, and I think it might be beneficial to drive engagement politically.
Well, thank you for calling in. I still don't think it's worth violating people's First Amendment rights, but I will talk to you
That's fair. Yeah,
later.
yeah. Later, man.
To the void. And just to be clear to my audience, I am very pro voting. I think you should vote. In fact, if you don't vote, I'm going to call you a moron, right? I'm going to be mean to you online, okay? I'm going to say, what the fuck are you doing? However, I think that there's a difference between encouraging and maybe even incentivizing people to vote than punishing them for not doing it. So if we had a system, right? If we had a system in place where you got, if you go to the polls and you show you that you vote, you don't have to show how you vote or anything, but if you show you vote, you get a tax break. You get an extra $100 you take off your taxes at the end of the year or something. I don't know, right? That'd be great. I'd be all for that because it's not a punishment. It's an incentive. However, I am totally against making not voting a punishable, a finable offense. I do not think that is right. And even if it does have good outcomes, I think violating people's freedoms to that extent is, yeah, it's just not worth it to me. $2 from Testicle Johnson to say the world must learn of our peaceful ways by force. Well, thank you for the $2. Yeah. Mandatory voting should be a thing from May. Not voting in a system you literally benefit from being born here means you should be obligated to vote. Again, I disagree. I think that people have and should have the right to opt out of the system, to not vote in the system, if that's what they so choose to do. I don't think it should be an obligate thing. Again, I think there should be benefits for doing so, not just the benefits that you see by participating in the system and having a voice in that, but I think that they should incentivize it monetarily as well. In my opinion, I think I would be for a system where if you did vote and you show you voted, that you get some sort of monetized gain, whether it be a tax break, a stimulus check. I don't fucking know. $10 from Turtle Emergency. Have you considered having a low effort Patreon? I've considered it. It would help me get through those times where Twitch suspends me for 7 days for talking to incels. Look, gang, this incel thing, not what do we want to do with these incels? We can do a few things. We can talk to them. We can ignore them. We can try to fix them. I'm for talking to them and trying to solve the issue. I think that it serves no one to simply bury our heads in the sand and pretend these people don't exist. I think that causes worse outcomes overall in the long term. And I think that it's just dehumanizing. I want to be able to talk to people who have ideas that are incorrect, and even to a gross degree. And I think that by not letting people talk to incels, right, to get suspended for 7 days. And to be clear, I'm not exactly sure what about that stream got me suspended. I don't know. We can guess. I don't know. But I know that the word incel is banned on Twitch, and I was talking to incels, and I was using that word in my stream. So that probably did it. Gang. It's a call-in show. Why aren't you calling in? You should call in. And thank you for the $10 again, Turtle Emergency. I really appreciate it. Yeah. So give us a call. Jump backstage. Let me pull you in. Let me talk to you. And what could we talk about? Whatever your heart desires. May, you seem to disagree with me here, so why don't you call in? I will give you the Discord link. You can jump backstage and you can talk to me and you can try and convince me why I am incorrect. Twitch is such a joke. It is, but it is a portion of my money and a portion of my audience. I usually have about 30 30, 50 viewers on Twitch, depending on the day, depending on the stream. And missing that audience sucks. It sucks. But yeah, it is what it is. Matt Honeybee says, Wick, I miss you, but I'm cooking, so can't talk. LOL. Well, thank you for missing me, and I hope whatever you're cooking is delicious, okay? Even though I won't be there to eat it, I will eat it spiritually, okay? I will be there in spirit. Cardis says, most unjust Twitch ban. I'm not sure if that's the case, but yes, I don't agree with their ban. Suspension, to be clear. Obviously, I put in an appeal. Twitch support contacted me or replied to me on Twitter, but they said that it's in the process and they can't bump it up. Like, people are in line to get their appeals heard, and they can't put me to the head of the line. And I get that. I understand that. It's annoying, but it makes sense. So, yeah. Cardis says, I'm being hyperbolic. Well, so am I. Okay. Who the fuck watches Mr. Girl anymore? Why are we talking about Mr. Girl? How did Mr. Girl come up in this conversation? Oh, because Toby1 Kenobi says, become like Mr. Girl and only stream from your website. Yeah, no one watches that guy anymore. I mean, he's gone. Let's bring on... Welcome, caller. You're live, caller.
Hello.
Dear caller, how are you today?
Good, good. Can you see me? I guess
I
not.
can
Doesn't
see
look like it.
you and I can hear you. So you are on camera, so just keep
All
that
right.
in mind.
What did I what am I Yeah, I know. It's like a secret anything. Wick, come on, what is this?
Well, I don't know. Maybe you don't know your camera's on and you get a little
I know-
hot and you start taking your shirt off or something. I don't want
I
that.
just
Okay.
sweaty. I just got out of the gym, okay? All right, relax. Jesus.
Well, I'm
So,
just letting you
I'm-
know, buddy. I'm just looking out for you.
it's 90 degrees. I'm in north of Boston for work. And it's not supposed to be this hot, but fuck me. All right, so look, speaking of, I'm up here. I'm on a job, and have you heard about this Karen Reed trial?
Spill the deets. Give me the TLDR.
I'd never heard about this, but it's a big thing going on right now. Up here, there's this woman on trial for basically murdering a cop that was her boyfriend. Okay, and the narrative is that. Oh, hello. Can
Did
you hear
your
me?
mic switch?
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay, so someone kills a cop.
Can you hear me?
Kind of.
Yeah, someone killed a cop. Oh, okay. Hold on.
We'll
Sorry.
figure it out, kings and queens. Okay.
So someone killed a cop, and what happened was he was killed by hypothermia, and they found him outside of a cop's party at like 2-3 a.m.
So the cops
And
were
they
having
said
a
that
shindig, okay? And they
Yep,
find him
the
and
cops were
he's
having a party.
dead, frozen.
He's dead, frozen, and they said that when the girlfriend dropped him off at the party, she backed into him purposefully and killed him. Okay?
Oh shit. So that's the cause of death of him getting run over and he just collapses and freezes and dies.
And there are scratches all over his arms. He has black eyes. And when the cops show up to investigate, they never go inside the cop's house because they were friends. This was a Boston PD party with the Camden police and firemen at the party as well. They were all friends, including the guy that died. And to be clear, this story is not really why I'm calling. I'm calling about the reaction to this story.
Okay, what's the reaction? Tell us the reaction. So cop dies, gets run over. What's the
Let's
reaction?
point on it. The reaction is that it's all conspiracy. I'm working for a military industrial complex company, okay? And I'm working a facilities team. These guys are part of a huge, multi-billion dollar company that works to arm Ukraine and fight wars. And they believe every one of them to a T, that the judge is in on it, the police are in on it. Some of the guys I work with
in
are
on what?
friends.
What? Skip to
In-
the end of this story. In on what?
The cops set her up. That
To
they
cover
are
up
all
what?
a part to cover up killing him.
Because of why?
There's no why. There is no why. They're just all in on it. That she's being framed, and even though they know all of them, every time I talk to these guys, when I question things, it's all about, corrupts institutions. It's all about how the deep state is a swamp. It's all about how, and these are all union guys, by the way.
Of course it was. They planned it together. This is hyperbole. I'm not actually saying this, gang. This is sarcasm. Please don't.
But no,
Please
I'm
don't
telling you,
attack
that's what everybody that I've spoken to about this, to the T, does not believe in the slightest that she is guilty. They all believe she's innocent and that the cops killed him and that they're hiding something. And they will not at all look at their own lives, how people think about how, I come in, they take breaks early, but it it's the mindset. It's so interesting to me.
Why
Have
tell
you
the
run
truth?
across this kind of thing?
Well, this is
Yeah. Please
conspiratorial
tell me,
thinking.
please.
This is conspiratorial
Absolutely.
thinking. You see it across the board. I'm just
Everywhere.
gonna see to everything you're saying being correct, but I don't even need to because
Yeah.
we don't even need to use this as an example. There's countless examples of this
Yes.
style of thinking that is out there, where people they have a narrative that they want to tell, and so that they will connect the dots in such a way that paints their narrative, and they will either ignore or quote unquote debunk any annoying fact that gets in the way, right? It becomes part of this tapestry. There is this idea of wanting to tell a story, right? To tell a story of the world based on your worldview, and things fit or should be made to fit into that worldview. And it's tempting. It's very tempting when you can take an actual event and twist it to support whatever cause that you want to talk about. I think there's been a theme today. It's not about the actual incidents. It's not about the actual case. It's about the cause.
It's about the narrative.
It's about the cause. And the cause
Absolutely.
in this case, it sounds like corruption,
Yes.
corrupt institutions, war
It's
money,
distrust.
all this thing, yeah.
Distrust in groups. And every time I push back a little bit on these guys, because they say things like, "Oh, well, they sold the house and got rid of the dog," and it's like, well, if I'm selling a house, this murder, and I believe it was a murder. I don't think it was an accident. Somebody killed him, obviously. This murder took place 2 years ago in the winter, and if I'm trying to sell a house, of course I'm gonna remodel it. Maybe I don't like the fucking dog anymore because he does bite people and does bark at people. But then there are some things that are definitely fishy about this case. This won't be the last time. This will be made into a movie, because the fact that the investigators never, number one,
Oh God, true
took down
crime
notes.
has destroyed us. But go
Yeah.
ahead. Yeah.
But it's because it is interesting.
Sorry,
right?
ladies
to
in
really
my audience. I know you guys love the true crime. Okay, I get it. But yo, it's destroyed us. But carry on.
But it's because it's interesting to see how far people can go, how far things can really get into a community, and the narrative that these guys are giving me, which like I said, one guy I know, he said he knows the judge personally. She's Aunt Bev, she's a friend, and the other guys are looking at him like, well, she's in on it too, don't you know? It's so funny. And of course, one guy brought up Trump, and I said, well, if you want to talk about corruption, just look to Roger Stone. And the guy goes, who? And I was like, you're telling me you believe there's all this corruption going on and that it's all about institutions and mob mentality. He used that word. And you don't know who Roger Stone is. And I go, Google him. And he goes, I'm not going to. I'm gonna stay at home and I'm gonna watch Hallmark Channel. And I go, you fucking piece of. I wanted to lay into him, but I can't.
Why
I'm
can't you?
working.
Because you're working?
Because I'm
Oh.
working. I'm too nice of a guy. Once I get to know these guys, some of these facilities I've been to several times. I did convince one guy to get a COVID shot
Good.
years ago, and he told me I was the reason why. I went there
Yeah.
in 2019, and I was like, oh shit, okay, that is cool. And he's a Trump supporter and whatever, but it was interesting to see you can't change people's minds. All it takes is listening to these people, and just seeds of doubt, right? Um, yeah.
2024, A Gay Odyssey for $2. Ask the panelist, the caller, not a panelist, why the deep state did January 6th.
Why the deep state? Why would the deep? I mean, if I could create a narrative about this, it would be like the Antifa kind of thing, right? It would
Okay.
be a false flag. It's a false flag event so that we can get Trump completely a convicted felon. I mean, this is what this guy told me as well. They're all in on it. They're trying to get rid of him legally, and we're going to still vote for him. Why would the deep state do January 6th? Is because it would show how little power that people actually have, that they always will have power.
Okay.
Right? Now, obviously, I don't believe these things. I think that's fucking retarded because the amount of people that have to involve. It's a lot easier to individually understand people's motivations, like you're talking about narratives, like when we talk about religion, like when we talk about any sort of ideologies. Related to how you were raised, where you live, a tie to your family, a tie to any other sort of community, like D&D losers that think that 4th edition is better than 5th. So you have all those people.
What happened? He disconnected. The deep state got him, gang. The deep state. He got voided. That's what happened. Oh, maybe he shouldn't have run his mouth on things he didn't know about, okay? Maybe he shouldn't have run his dirty whore mouth on things he didn't know about. Okay, that's all I'm saying. Okay, that's all I'm saying. But yeah, he's right in that there are a lot of people who want to believe something so badly, that they will bend space and time. They will bend space and time to fit their worldview. And there is a market for this. And that's why. So a lot of people, look, I've said this before, and I see you in backstage, Seattle. I'll get to you in a second. But let me just say this. A lot of people will point to misinformation as being a reason that that there's so much distrust in institutions, that there's so much conspiracy brains out there these days. They will point to misinformation and disinformation as a cause. And that's not true. Not really. I mean, I'm sure on the margins it plays an effect. But the reason misinformation exists is because people already believe in these things. And they want so badly for what they believe in to be true that they will pay attention, and in some cases pay actual money, to anyone who will package the truth in such a way that it supports their worldview. And if they have to slip in some misinformation to do that, well, golly, they're okay with that. So misinformation is a symptom rather than a cause of the problems that we have today, because there's so many people who want so badly for these things to be true, right? That they're willing to accept the lies and falsehoods peddled by thought leaders, quote unquote, by misinformation dealers, etc. They give them time, attention, and money. And that is why it exists. And that is the true issue at play. When people say that misinformation is a problem, that's correct, but it's the symptom. It's not the disease. And let's not get that twisted, okay? Let's not get that twisted. You're live.
Hey,
Hi, what you got?
let me
for us?
get the stream muted. Oh, you know what? I think this will be. Oh, that's not my camera.
Okay, what kind of stream we doing today? I don't know. We're not doing that kind of stream. What you got for us, sir?
This will be a personal update.
Oh.
You know, I've been going through a hard time. I've got, stuff going on. But
Yeah.
I'm really excited. Someone messaged me on Discord today. So they sent me a photo, and man, I think I lucked out. I really think I lucked out. I found their Instagram, and they're like an Italian model with 1 million Instagram followers, and they're messaging me. You believe
Yeah?
it? This is great. This is great.
Wow, that's amazing. Oh man,
Isn't
have
it?
you look? They probably just need you to send a little bit of money to their.
Oh, that's taken care of. No,
Okay,
don't
you
worry.
did that already. Great.
Yeah.
That was a good decision. I applaud it.
Yeah.
You should do it more. Continue.
Oh, okay. This is where you tell me that I've been scammed, and I go, "No, I gotta call my bank." Ah!
No, I'm certain this
You're
is
in
real.
the bit.
You should
Yeah.
you should absolutely go harder on the bank in this.
Oh.
Sorry, I ruined your story though.
No, it's fine. I actually sent them because they said they wanted to be a developer. So I looked up the model's website and I looked up the pro form template thing. And I said, yeah, you should study this developer guide and give them homework, send them on their way. But I got nothing. I'm just,
I don't know. I just look.
you wanted callers.
No, it's fine. Here's my if I realize that someone is a scammer, I just stop talking to them. I know a lot of people like to play with them or whatever. I don't have time for that. What frustrates me, and I don't think these people are scammers, to be clear, but what frustrates me, and it's harder for me to deal with, is people who clearly are trying to sell me something. Right? And a lot of these come into play with, at least in the streaming sphere, digital artists. They'll contact me.
You
like,
want to see
hey,
my
man,
portfolio?
I really like your stream. And I'm like, yeah, that's great. I'm glad you like my stream. And they're like, hey, have you thought about updating your graphics? And I'm like, oh my God, you don't actually like my stream. You're just trying to sell me some fucking graphics design. And more power to you. I know you got to get your bag, but I don't need it right now, okay? And if you're gonna lead with something, don't get my hopes up like that, because I like it. I like when people enjoy my show. I like when people enjoy my content, and I like when people reach out to me with a compliment and things like that. Like, hey, I saw your panel on this. I really thought it was done well. This happens more than you'd think. But it's just this like realization, like, oh, they don't actually like me. They're just trying to sell something to me, and I don't like that. It makes me feel bad.
Have you ever thought about what you could do with really going into it?
Going into graphic design?
No, going in, playing along with the.
Look, I don't like to fuck with people like that. I don't find it
Oh
fun.
no, I paid. I fucked with them, but I paid for it.
Then they're just an escort at that point. Look, I got enough.
Oh no.
I got enough entertainment by kicking the shit out of autists like President Sunday, who keep yapping at me, nipping at my heels. If I want to be a little naughty boy and be a little spicy, I do it on targets who deserve it, right? We talked a little bit on my stream earlier.
Look at the great emotes
hold
that
on,
I've got.
Stop me.
Okay.
Stop it for a moment. I'll let you keep going.
Yeah.
I'll let you keep going in a minute. But
yeah,
we talked a little bit earlier on my stream how I was going to teach you all how to be racist towards white people and sexist towards men.
Oh boy.
And my God, there's no better person that you should be racist towards and sexist towards than President Sunday. I think that he is my audience, if you need someone to practice being racist on, what better person? That's all I got to say. Now, keep in mind, that was a joke. I'm not asking you don't talk to President Sunday. He's not worth it, right? But, yeah, it would be funny. Let me look at the DMs you gave me. Oh, those are cool.
Isn't those great?
Yeah. How much they charge you for that?
I think it was $50
a piece, or for all of them?
I was pretty aggressive. You know what? I actually sent them AI art and said, "Here's what I've got now. What can you do with this?" So I was like very, very exacting and very demanding. They didn't ask me for a follow-up contract.
Oh man, so you wasted their time. That's kind of cruel, man.
I mean, I didn't waste their. I got something out. Hey, I got my value.
I guess so. Soyaddle, thank you for calling in. But for now. Yeah, I don't know. These people, like, look, scammers are different. Scammers, if you want to waste their time, by all means, right? If you got some Nigerian prince or princess in your DMs trying to get you to send some money to their bank account because they need some money to get back their throne, and then they'll reward you tenfold or something. If you want to waste your time doing that, I think it's pretty morally neutral. But don't do it to people who just are looking to sell their work. A digital artist asking you to be a patron and to buy some of their work or to take a contract with them, that's not a scam. Not really. I mean, they might be a scam as well. They might not actually give you what you pay for, but that's a separate issue. But I don't want to string those people along. I don't want to fuck with those people. I just say not interested, or I don't say anything at all, and we end it there. But yeah, Sunday is just a twat. Yeah, pretty much. Well, what did President Runday do to me? Nothing terrible, I guess. Well, no, that's not true. This guy, I don't know. He says that I want to kill kids or something. He called me a pedophile twice. I took that personally. I don't like it when people call me names that I'm not, right? So fair enough. I just think that the space would be better if he wasn't in it and people like him weren't in it. I think that we would have actual interesting content and discussions. Because let's be real, he doesn't really have content of his own. He's always his content is based on other people's work. So what I mean by that is he will do reacts. He will tell you why a certain streamer or a certain person is bad in his opinion. It's never original stuff. It's never something that a topic that he is bringing forth for the people to discuss. It's always stuff that is related to the streamers he doesn't like. And he has no qualms of violating ethical boundaries or just, in many cases, just making shit up to try to come at people he thinks are bad people and doesn't like. He's tried to contact the employers of multiple people to get them fired or to attack them personally or to gather information in which he can attack them personally. And I think he's violated enough ethical boundaries. I don't think he's broken toss, really. But I think he's violated enough ethical boundaries that, yeah, he's a bad person. And here we are. Nairsock says that's why he had to switch to drama and that still isn't enough sometimes. Yeah, I mean, look, I make with my sponsor, like my contract with Progressive Victory, I probably make more than he does. Straight up. I don't know how much he makes, but through my donations, through direct donations, through Twitch subs, through super chats and bits and all that, I'm with the PV contract. I probably make more than him. It's a guess. I don't know for sure, but yeah. And obviously it depends on the month. Like this month, I'm probably going to make less money on Twitch because I'm suspended from it for 7 days. But I don't know. Aircraft Sparky says Wick, he's a leftist, therefore ethics are icky to him. I'm center left, dude. I have my ethical lines. There are things that I won't do. Right? There are things that I won't bring up. There are lines that I won't cross. I don't make fun of people's families. I don't bring their families into it at all. Right? I don't I don't bring this outside of this space, so I don't contact people's employers. I don't do any of that kind of thing. I think that's bringing things out of this space. And so unless there's an actual crime that has been committed, like if I think someone has actually like killed someone, for example, if I find out that someone in this space has literally murdered someone, then yes, I'm going to call the cops. It's going to happen. But outside of extremes like that, I think that things in this space should remain in this space. I don't make things up about people either, right? Like we all meme a little bit, but what I mean is I don't make up rumors or spread rumors that I know are not true or that I don't actually believe. So if I am going to tell you something about another streamer that I don't like, it will be something that I actually believe that they've done, and I actually have at least some evidence that has happened. So that's a line I won't cross. I have a lot of lines I won't cross, actually. I don't believe in eye for an eye. I think it's wrong. I think retaliation is wrong. I also think that, to an extent, obviously there are extremes that we can talk about. But what else? I don't think we should pick on someone who's going through, like, if he had a health issue, like a real health issue, like cancer or something. You know what I would say? Nothing. I wouldn't bring that up. That's a little beyond the pale. We don't attack people for that, right? It's just not. It's just uncouth. It's just not something we should do. But again, these are rules I live by. They are definitely not rules he lives by. Do you guys remember when President Sunday made a tweet, got about 10,000 likes, about how Brianna Wu had used the slur sand N-word, so N-word aspirated with the asterisk. Obviously, we know what we're talking about. He claimed that he had evidence that she had used this word, that he had evidence that she had used this word, but this evidence included her dead name. And so he went on Twitter and he made a tweet saying, I have this evidence, but I don't know if I should share it because it includes her dead name. What do you think? He got 10,000 likes. A lot of people went through it, and it's like, yeah, drop that information. Drop what you got. Gang, you know what this evidence was? This evidence was a years-old forum post, like over 10 years, I believe, of someone claiming that someone else had overheard a third person hear Brianna Wu say that word. That was the evidence. But he didn't drop it right away. And so he had this, everyone, 10,000 people looking, believing that he had this rock solid evidence that she had used this slur. And it turned out to be bullshit. As far as I know, and people can correct me if I'm wrong, he never took that back. He never corrected it. Damage done. He made something up. He made it out to be something much bigger than it was, much more foolproof than it was, and presented it in a way that now there's 10,000 people who saw and believe to various degrees that Brianna Wu used this slur. When the evidence, when you look at it, is so... It's just not strong at all. But that doesn't matter to him. He doesn't care about the truth. He doesn't care about who he hurts because, by God, he has a mission. What's that mission, gang? Money! Money! That's his mission. Money! And he will do anything to get it. $2 from Soyatl. Take that back. Gamergate forums only post the truth. Yeah? Did they? Okay. Fair enough. But yeah, it's one of those things where, again, if I'm going to accuse someone of doing something, I'm going to have some actual evidence. And I'm going to present it at the time of the accusation. Now, I'm not talking about like little low-key stuff like I think you're a liar or dishonest. But even then, I think you should have something to back it up. And I usually do, and I try to. But when you make, for example, let's use a pedophile accusation. He's called me a pedophile. Do we think that that's okay to just call people pedophiles, that we have nothing to substantiate that just because we don't like a person, right? There are things I could call Sunday. There are lines I could go down. I have no evidence for, but we can make them stick, gang. Okay, let's be real. We can make them stick just by repetition. It's easy to do. There's a formula to do it. It's something that can happen. It has happened to multiple people. Easy. But we don't do that shit because we're honest. We don't do that shit because we're better than they are. And he will come and he'll be like, oh, look at your low viewer count. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. I do the content I want. I do the content that I find interesting. If people watch it, great. If they don't watch it, oh well. And I'm not going to change my content because if I switch to drama, more people would watch. And gang, I'm going to be real with you. If I switched to drama, more people would watch. If I became another drama channel, I would have a higher viewership. I just would. You know how I know that? It's because I used to do that. When I initially blew up, I did a lot more drama than I do today. I still occasionally dive into it because it's interesting. When I find it interesting, I do. But I used to do it a lot more. And I had higher numbers. I had much higher numbers. But I stopped doing that because I didn't find it interesting. I found it boring, in fact. It's not what I wanted to do with my show. And yeah, it's just, I guess, one more piece of evidence in the genuine nature of WHICK. Because whether you like me or hate me, you're going to get me, the honest me, each time. So yeah, I don't know. Aircraft Sparky says, drama is boring. I prefer policies. Yeah, I do too. Look, I'm not above drama. Let's be clear. There are certain times, especially if it involves me. Like if someone comes at me, like to gen up drama, like Kilo did, for example. Kilo came after me recently. He said, and I'll quote it, I'm going to start spreading agitational rumors about the streamer known as WHICK TV, aka the Death of Certainty. Okay. If someone starts doing that kind of shit, yes, I will engage because one, I don't fuck with that shit, right? Like if you're gonna make up lies about me, I'm gonna come at you. And two, I'm just interesting content. Let's be real. I am interesting content. I am. That's why they're coming at me all the time. Because they're not interesting. They're boring. And I, at least, make things fun. I make things entertaining. Or I try to. Homo, but I love WHICK anyways. Same, but with the homo. I love WHICK. No homo. Well, it's Pride Month. And it's also Men's Mental Health Month. Don't forget that. So, yeah. Nairsock says, ain't no way. Sunday stays up drinking or waiting for edibles to kick in before he goes to bed. Parentless behavior. Like, people keep saying this, right? I don't know if it's true. And so I don't. Like, people call him an alcoholic. Unless you know that's the case, I don't think you should. I don't think that's a line of attack you should go down. I don't know. I think it's irresponsible to start those kinds of rumors and to talk about those things. So, yeah, I don't. If you see me going after him on Twitter or you see me talking about him on stream, that's one line of attack I'm just not going to go down because I don't know if it's true. And so rather than using it as a way to hurt him or to ruin his reputation, I just hold off doing it. Even though I know that there are a lot of people who would pick that up and run with it and who do run with it. I think that's wrong of them to do unless they have rock solid evidence that this is the case. And even if they did, I don't know if we should be attacking someone for their addictions like that. I don't know if I'm comfortable doing that. Because I don't think we should be attacking addicts. I think they need help. And if he is an alcoholic, I hope he gets help. I do. Only if it's relevant. I mean, yeah, if I can see certain instances where it might be relevant to bring up. But in most cases, it's just not. But here's the thing about this space. This space is a snake pit. It is. You can't trust anyone in this space. Anyone. I can count on one hand the amount of people I would even share any personal information with in this space. And honestly, it's probably unwise that there are any. The wisest course of action is a big fat goose egg in this space. Okay? Cardi says, I remember one time Sunday claimed he wasn't actually drinking alcohol on stream. He just beds. And he might. I don't know. Yeah, it's not my business, and I don't think it's relevant. Look, we have all sorts of things we can attack President Sunday on. He's a clout chaser. He's an opportunist. All these things are true and demonstrably so. We don't need to make up rumors. We don't. We got the evidence right here. Like, we could talk about how he claims and makes it out that I am this dying channel that has nobodies on, and how I'm constantly begging Destiny for attention. And then we can go through his tweet list and see how many times he brings up Destiny, how many times he brings up Brianna Wu, how many times he brings up me, and we can compare and contrast these things. And we can show that he's A, a fucking liar, and B, a hypocrite. And I think it's pretty clear. Anyone who doesn't have their head so far up their ass they can't even, like, see straight can see this. He's been defanged. And I think that's the most important thing to realize here, is that Sunday has no real power here. Let's be real. He has no real power here. He annoys me. That's it. That's it. Like, he annoys me. That's it. So that's the power he has. And the only reason he annoys me is because I'm a passionate person. Okay. And I allow people to. I could just mute him and he'd go away. And he wouldn't affect me at all. Yesterday, he had some streamers, or I don't know if they're streamers, but some of his community members, yesterday during the stream, he had them DM me that he was going live and to watch how my numbers would drop when he goes live. We didn't lose a single viewer. We gained viewers. It didn't impact me at all. The people who watch Sunday don't watch me. Not really. His community and my community, we've kind of divorced, right? I did used to work with him. I thought I could change him. I thought I could fix him. I was wrong. Yeah. Are there any more callers? Or do you guys just, like, I know we're going on a large rant right now, okay? Hardest says, I can't believe Sundek was ever a reality. I try to see the best in people, right? I try to see I want to see the good in everyone, right? Because I think there is good in everyone. And I'm willing to give people a chance. And so I wasn't really familiar with his content. All I knew is he'd come at Erudite, right? And he'd come at Destiny. That's all I knew about the guy. And I was like, you know what? After the Mr. Girl episode, I thought maybe we could show him a better way. Maybe we could be a good example for this kid, okay? I felt bad for him because no one liked him. He didn't have any friends in this space. The only people that would hang around him are the people who weren't welcome in other communities. So I was like, you know what? I don't. And he'd talk about how Vosh wouldn't give him any attention. No leftist creators would really work with him. That he was kind of like on his own, abandoned. He'd say these things. And I felt bad. And I was like, you know what? Let's see if we can't work on this guy, okay? Let's see if we can't, like, maybe curb his excesses, help him out, give him better tools to deal with this space. More fool me. I feel stupid. I don't regret doing it, to be clear. But looking back, I'm like, man, that was dumb of me. That was dumb of me. And I guess if there's any criticism that you could give my way, okay? If there's any criticism that you could give that would stick, is that I am too trusting. I am too naive. I am unwilling to stick up for myself in a way that other people are and should. But that is what it is. And I think, like, I would rather be too trusting than not trusting at all. I would rather take those hits on occasion. Feathered Modoc says, I want to call in, but I'm at work right now and I have to talk to customers. Should be done, though, in about half an hour to an hour. Well, we're not going to be live for an hour, okay? I'm just telling you. I'm probably going to end stream in about 20 minutes, 30 minutes maybe. Overlord Clyde says, I feel you there, fam. Yeah, it's just sad. Like, this space could be a lot better than it is. But we have a problem, and one of those problems is the incentive structures in this space are to sell everyone else out, to sell everyone around you out. If you get wind of information that could be used to create drama about another streamer, the incentive structure at play in this space is to use it, is to gin up drama for viewers to watch and to tune into so that they could watch the shit show unfold. That's what a lot of people in this space enjoy. They like the Jerry aspect of things, right? They love to see the slop. Look at the... It's just something people enjoy, and more power to them, right? But one of the problems is it incentivizes everyone in this space to be little rats, to be little snakes, to never be worthy of trust. And so I try, when I see people who I think I can trust, I try to help. I don't know. I want to be the change I see in the world, okay? I want to be the change I see in the world. Like, if I dropped all my logs of everything everyone's said to me, right? There have been incidences that have occurred that have ginned up hundreds of thousands of views in this space that I knew about weeks to months before anyone else did, because people trust me. That I had been told about by the people involved. But you know what I did? Because my DMs are sacred to me. My pride, I offer people discretion. If you tell me something in confidence, it's in confidence. Even if by exposing you or by sharing what you told me, it would benefit me or even help a friend out, right? Like, you've told me that in confidence, it's in confidence. It's just there. It's just that's the case. And so, yeah, if I wanted to be a drama channel, I absolutely could. I could do it better than they do. Because I tried watching these drama people. I just don't, it's not my thing. And I think they do it poorly in a lot of cases. But that's just my opinion. People can like who they like. They can watch what they want. Are there any more callers today? Let me invite some people. Let me give you guys the link again. Testicle Johnson says, I think if it's something like doxing or otherwise criminal activity, you have an obligation to out those people. You know, sure. Like, if someone told me that they were planning to, like, bomb a school, I'm calling the feds, okay? But I'm not talking about any of that. That's not what I'm discussing. We can set that aside. That's not what I mean. Okay, let's bring in this caller, whoever they may be. Hello, you're live. You were live and on air. We can't hear you if you're talking. Oh no, gang. Oh no.
There it goes.
Oh, here we are. Here we are. What you got for us?
Just want to give you some content, so I decided to show up and be a little shit.
Cool. What you got? Go ahead.
So we got. Did Noam Chomsky die or not?
I'm seeing mixed reports. My feed in Twitter was sure he was dead. They were making jokes about it. They were commenting on it and these things. However, since I have seen reports that his wife is saying that he is still alive. What the truth is, I don't know. I haven't really looked into it. What do you think? Dead or alive? What would you call it?
I'm gonna say alive, just because I would think that'd be a hard hit that everyone would notice. And by hard hit, I mean everyone would pay attention to it.
Him being alive?
Him being dead.
I mean, he's what is he, like 95 years old, something like that? 96?
Yeah, but all the
up.
Tinkies love him so damn much.
He's up there. I mean, I don't know. And
No, I don't think there'd be surprised, but there definitely would be people going, "Oh no."
well, I saw some of that on Twitter. I saw people like being. I saw two things. I saw people being very sad that he passed, and I saw people celebrating that he had passed. Right. And I saw a third thing, which are people would make the joke because Noam Chomsky did not deny a few genocides. Right. The Cambodian genocide. There's a couple others. Right. That he's famously known for denying.
I was thinking this is the big one, I think.
Yeah, and so the joke was that, oh, can we really know that Noam Chomsky died or not? I don't think he did. I think this is just neoliberal propaganda, which makes it funny because it turns out he might not actually have died, and so there's some meta irony in that. But yeah,
The season writers for the reality TV show That Is Our Life are
and
on point today.
yes. We what kind of world event, or maybe even we don't have to make it as big as the world, but what event within our sphere do you think could happen that you would like to see happen that would gin up the content machine in a way that you would enjoy? Give us, if you could put your thumb on the scale and you could change fate so that something happened that would make interesting content for you, what would it be?
I'm not sure to say I would like to see this, but if you've been noticing, the Haitian government has basically collapsed,
Oh yeah,
and
pretty bad
basically
over there.
everyone is just rushing to avoid being given the responsibility to do something about it. And if someone like the U.S. or some other Western power just decide, we're just going to intervene because we can't have that
Oh,
on our
so
back door.
you would think that would be interesting content. I understand what you're saying.
Content-wise, yes, I would like it if it
I get you.
resolved itself peacefully.
Obviously. Like, look, maybe the leader that they need is a strong, principled streamer to go down there, I should say, and take the reins of power. Could you imagine an entire country run by a Twitch poll streamer?
Is this your announcement on making a trip down south?
No, I value my life. I don't want to die, so I'm not going to Haiti anytime soon. But I think that someone with enough followers, who is crazy enough, who had the chutzpah to go down there, okay, and bring his followers and take it by force, I think that would be a cool story. I think it would be horrific, right? But it would be a cool story. Vosh, Fortress Arc, the new ruler of Haiti.
The new fortress, Haiti itself,
Indeed.
Port-au-Prince.
Indeed. But yeah. Well, thank you for calling in, sir. Is there anything else I can help you with?
Nope, that's it. I just wanted to say hello.
Well, hello. Bye-bye. What a nice caller. Did Wick just say Heshe? Lulz? Yeah, I mispronounced Haiti. I'm sorry. Haiti. Yeah, my bad. I mispronounce words. See, here's the thing, gang. I learned my vocabulary primarily through reading. I read a lot. I've read in the course of my lifetime thousands, with the plural, of books. I don't read as much anymore, unfortunately. I don't have as much time. But growing up, before I was 20 years old, I probably read over 400 to 500 books. Not kidding. I was a bookworm, okay? So most of the vocabulary that I learned came through reading. And it would get me in trouble or be embarrassing to me when I would pronounce a word, which I knew what it meant, right? And I knew how to spell it, but I had no idea how to pronounce it. There's a couple good examples of this. I think I was 24, 23 before I learned how to pronounce colonel correctly. I would always say it colonel because that's how it's spelled. So in my head, whenever I read that word, I'd say colonel. But speaking up in college and saying colonel got me laughed at. It's not pronounced colonel at all. It's pronounced colonel. There's a few other words I could probably think of like that, but there's a few. $20 from Turtle Emergency. And thank you for the $20. Gang, look, if you ever wanted to donate to me, now's the time because I have a week where I don't get income from Twitch. And so I need to make up for that somehow. So I'm going to be a little more aggressive in asking for super chats and stuff during this week. I apologize, but I could use your help. And that's how you help me, is for this week, if you have a little extra money in your pocket, if you want to use that through super chats, I will read your super chat. Or if you want to gift memberships to the show, we have a YouTube membership thing that you could do. I think that's definitely helpful. But let me read this super chat. $20 from Turtle Emergency. Have you ever done a panel on geoengineering/climate change adaptation or skyrocketing home insurance costs due to disaster frequency increasing? The usual government versus free market stuff splinters in the face this kind of issue. I have not done a show such as this. I think it might be interesting. I think there's a few ways we could go about it. We could have climate experts on and talk to them, and I could interview them. Or and that would be a little harder to do, harder to set up. I'd need to find experts willing to come on, and experts that were at least somewhat entertaining and able to communicate their points effectively. That's a little rarer than you'd think. The other way I could do this is by having people having just a debate panel on climate change and what should be done about climate change. What should governments do when it comes to, as you said, the ever-increasing frequency of natural disasters? And that is something that definitely we could talk about. Yeah. What do we got? 4 more minutes? Okay, so what do we got coming up this week? Don't have a show tomorrow. Okay. Gonna take tomorrow off. Gonna play some video games or something, right? Just relax. Walk my little doggy Lola. Oh, but Thursday, my friends, my dear viewers, I have a show that I think you would like to tune into. So on Thursday at 6 o'clock, we are going to be having Josiah from Pondering Politics and Brianna Wu are going to be joining us. If you are unaware, recently, Brianna Wu appeared on the Trigonometry podcast. She's also been very critical of the far left recently. And RPG, thank you for the gifted 10 WHICK TV memberships. I really appreciate that. Oh, thank you. It really does help. I do appreciate you. But what was I saying? Yeah, so she's been very critical of the far left. She went on the Trigonometry podcast, and we're going to talk to her about her experience there. We're going to talk about how she thinks she did, in what ways she thinks she could have done better. We're also going to talk about the reaction to her appearing on this show, not just from the left, but from the right. Because if you go on that show and you read some of the comments, man, oh man, okay? And I think it's worthy of a discussion. Like, how how effective is it to go on a more right-leaning or a centrist podcast? How effective is it to quote-unquote punch left? Should we be punching left at all, and to what degree? I think these are all interesting questions. And on Thursday, we're going to have her on directly to talk about it. Brianna Wu and I are friends, to be clear. She has contracted me for stuff in the past. Am I currently paid by Brianna Wu? No. But I currently do get a check from Progressive Victory, who Brianna Wu did used to work for. So that's the closer in there. Soy Adol for $2 says, I interviewed Dr. Ackerman on geoengineering. Interesting. Well, send him my way. I would love to pick his brain. May says, Brianna Wu is a conservative transmed psycho. Well, I disagree. I don't think she's conservative at all. I don't think she's psycho at all. Whether she's a transmed or not, I don't know. I don't even know what you mean by that word. But no, she's not conservative. I would disagree with you strongly that she's what on what issue particularly would you say she has a conservative leaning? I'd just be very curious. Ghosty says, "Oh no, I'm just catching the end." Yeah, we're winding down. We're about to go. You want to hear what happened? I got suspended from Twitch because I had incels on my show. It was a call-in show, so yeah. May says, transmeds means you think trans women aren't women because they're actually male. She yells, well, I promise you she doesn't hold the same views as J.K. Rowling. I know that's not true. I've talked to her plenty to know that's not true. I don't know what you mean. I don't think that... I don't know enough about her. You'd have to ask her position on the yeah, I don't think she doesn't think trans women are women. I think she does. I just think that she thinks... I'm not going to speak for Brianna Wu. She can speak for herself. On the trans issue... Look, I am not a trans expert. I don't know enough about trans issues to really pontificate. Sorry. I can't speak too much on it. Watch her recent interviews. I watched the trigonometry interview. She pushed back against the hosts on trans issues. I mean, she's pretty left of center when it comes to trans issues. Gelatinous Rube says, "Oh, I forgot to say, I hope you're doing well." Well, I'm doing as well as can be. Nick Fuentes supporters interviewing her? Where did she have an interview with Nick Fuentes supporters? Link me that interview. I've never seen that one. I saw her go on to Trigonometry, and I saw her go on to Richard Hanaria's podcast. I also saw when she went on the Heterodorks podcast with Karina Cohn. And look, I don't think she did perfect in any of them. And I disagree with her on some of the things she says. Particularly, I disagree that we have to abandon the progressive label. I know that progressivism has a problem right now, and we need to fix that problem, but I don't think we should abandon it, right, as a label. But when it comes to policies, I think her policies are generally left-leaning. It was where they had two guys interviewing her. I forget the actual name. Well, okay, fair enough. If you remember, link it to me. And gang, if you've enjoyed the show, hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Remember, tune in on Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern, where you can hear from Wu herself, whether she's a conservative transmed psycho. And I promise you, I will ask her, and she will have her answer. But yeah, if you want to support the channel, like and subscribe. If you have some extra money, give some memberships, throw a super chat my way. Really help. But for now, we're going to say adieu. And thank you again, my dear viewers. I do appreciate you. It was a lazy day, call-in show, but I enjoyed it. And thank you for sticking around. Bye-bye.